Chosen one, pause for a moment and listen carefully. What I am about to share is urgent, and it is not meant for everyone. This message is only for those who walk the narrow path, those who genuinely seek God, and those who have been set apart even when they did not ask for it. If you are not aligned with God's divine will, this message will not hold you. But if you are truly chosen, you are still here for a reason. This message has reached you at the exact moment your spirit needs it most, not early, not late, perfect timing. Chosen one, have you ever noticed how people feel uneasy around you for no clear reason? Have you wondered why your presence alone seems to make others uncomfortable, distant, or even defensive? Today, God is revealing the divine reason behind that fear, and it has nothing to do with something being wrong with you. Stay with me until the end, because what you are about to hear will shift how you see yourself, your past, and your purpose forever. Before we continue, chosen ones, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon so you don't miss what God releases next. Share this message with other chosen ones, and comment 777 to declare that you are aligned with your divine calling and ready to receive this revelation. The unseen energy you carry. Chosen one, let me speak to you calmly now because this part is important for your healing. There is something about you that people feel before you ever open your mouth. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to introduce who you are. The moment you walk into a room, something shifts. The atmosphere changes, and most people cannot explain why. This is where the fear begins. You see, people do not react to what they understand. They react to what they sense. And what you carry is not ordinary. It is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is not attention-seeking. It is quiet authority. It is spiritual weight. It is the presence of someone who has been shaped by God in ways suffering alone can carve. You carry an unseen energy because you have been through unseen battles. Many chosen ones believe they are doing something wrong when people pull away from them. Let me free you from that lie today. Fear does not always come from danger. Sometimes fear comes from exposure. Your presence exposes truth. It exposes masks. It exposes intentions, and people who are not ready to face themselves will feel threatened by someone who has already faced their own darkness and survived. You didn't ask for this energy. You didn't train for it. It was formed in you through obedience, endurance, and refinement. Every tear you cried in silence, every prayer you whispered when no one checked on you, every time you chose faith instead of bitterness. All of that accumulated into spiritual gravity, and gravity does not announce itself. It simply pulls. That is why people feel drawn to you and repelled by you at the same time. Their spirit recognizes something real, but their ego feels unsafe. So instead of leaning in, they resist. Instead of asking questions, they judge. Instead of understanding, they fear. Let me tell you something most people will never tell you. Fear is often the first reaction to holiness, not the religious kind, the real kind. The kind that does not pretend, the kind that walks in truth even when it is uncomfortable. You don't preach at people, but your life does. You don't accuse anyone, but your integrity confronts them. You don't try to be different, but you cannot blend in. That is the unseen energy you carry. Chosen one, your spirit has been trained to discern, not to perform. That alone makes people uneasy. In a world full of noise, chaos, and pretending, someone who is grounded, observant, and spiritually alert feels dangerous to those who rely on deception. They may smile at you, but inside they are unsettled. They may compliment you, but their spirit is restless. And here is the part you need to hear for your peace. Their fear is not your responsibility. You were never meant to make everyone comfortable. You were meant to be aligned. Comfort is temporary. Truth is disruptive, and God always prioritizes truth over comfort. When you walk into a room carrying truth, even silently, anything built on falsehood will start to shake. This is why some people misunderstand you. They call you distant, intimidating, hard to read, too intense. But what they are really saying is, I can't control you. And lack of control feels like danger to insecure minds. Chosen one, your calm confuses people who thrive on chaos. Your discipline unsettles people who avoid responsibility. Your clarity threatens people who survive on confusion. And your boundaries feel like rejection to people who are used to crossing lines. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. Let me slow this down so your heart can rest. You are not cold. You are contained. You are not withdrawn. You are discerning. You are not too much. You are simply too real for environments built on pretending. God placed a spiritual filter inside you. Not everyone passes through it, and those who don't will often respond with fear, judgment, or avoidance instead of honesty. Notice this carefully. The people who fear you rarely ask questions. They assume, they project, they imagine things about you that are not true. Why? Because imagination is safer than confrontation. It is easier to fear you than to face what you awaken in them. Your presence brings stillness, and stillness is uncomfortable for people who are running from themselves. Chosen one, you don't need to soften your energy to survive. You need to understand it so you stop internalizing reactions that were never about you. God did not place that spiritual weight on you to burden you. He placed it on you to protect you. The wrong people feel uneasy around you for a reason, and the right people feel peace. That is how you discern without words. You are not intimidating. You are anchored. You are not feared because you are harmful. You are feared because you are unmovable. And anything unmovable in a shifting world will stand out. Let me say this gently but clearly. If everyone is comfortable around you, you are probably not walking fully in your calling. Light disrupts darkness simply by existing. You don't have to argue. You don't have to prove. You don't have to defend yourself. Your energy already speaks. Chosen one, breathe for a moment. Let your shoulders relax. You are not strange. You are not isolated by accident. You are not misunderstood because you lack communication. You are misunderstood because you carry depth in a shallow world. And that is not a curse. That is confirmation. In the next part, I will explain something even deeper. Why even your silence unsettles people, and why God taught you to speak less and observe more. Stay with me. This is where clarity becomes peace. Chosen one, let me add something that will bring even more clarity to your heart. The energy you carry is also the result of restraint. God taught you how to pause before reacting, how to listen before responding, how to wait before moving. Most people live impulsively. They speak to cover insecurity. They move to avoid stillness. When they meet someone like you who is steady, measured, and spiritually awake, it highlights their inner imbalance. Your restraint feels like judgment to those who live without self-control. Your patience feels like superiority to those who rush through life without reflection. But in truth, it is simply maturity. You learn the hard way that not every thought needs a voice, and not every battle needs a response. That wisdom is rare. And rare things are often misunderstood before they are honored. So when people seem uneasy around you, remember this. You are not triggering fear because you are powerful in a worldly sense. You are triggering awareness, and awareness is uncomfortable for those who have spent their lives avoiding truth. Why your silence speaks louder than words. Chosen one, this is where many of you have quietly questioned yourselves. You wondered if you should speak more, explain more, soften more. You watched others dominate conversations, fill every pause, justify every move, and somehow still feel unseen. Meanwhile, you stayed quiet, observant, and intentional. And people reacted to you as if you had said something powerful, even when you said nothing at all. Let me tell you the truth without hesitation. Your silence is not emptiness. It is depth. God did not make you quiet by accident. He trained you in listening because listening builds discernment. And discernment makes people uncomfortable. When you remain silent, you are not absent. You are present without noise. And presence without noise feels exposing to those who rely on distraction to survive. Most people talk to hide. You stay silent because you see. That alone creates fear. Your silence tells people that you are not easily manipulated. It tells them you are not desperate for approval. It tells them you are not moved by emotional pressure. And for insecure minds, that feels threatening. They don't know where they stand with you because you are not constantly revealing yourself. And anything unpredictable feels unsafe to someone who needs control. Chosen one, notice this. People who are at peace with themselves are comfortable with silence. People who are not will rush to fill it. When you sit calmly, when you observe, when you choose your words carefully, it forces others to confront their own noise. Their thoughts get louder, their insecurities surface, their intentions feel exposed, and they blame you for that discomfort. Let me release you from another burden. You are not required to narrate your soul for everyone to understand you. Some people demand explanations not because they care, but because they want access. Your silence protects your spirit from those who are curious without being committed. God taught you early that not everyone deserves your inner world. You learned that words are powerful and careless words can drain you. So you became intentional. And intentional people intimidate those who live impulsively. You don't react quickly. You don't argue unnecessarily. You don't reveal everything you know. That restraint feels like mystery, and mystery often turns into fear for people who need certainty to feel superior. Chosen one, your silence also carries authority. Not the loud kind, the grounded kind, the kind that doesn't beg to be heard, the kind that doesn't repeat itself. When you finally speak, it carries weight because it has been filtered through wisdom, prayer, and discernment. People sense that. They know that when you speak, you mean it, that you don't waste words, that you don't speak from emotion alone. And that awareness makes careless talkers uneasy. They are used to words being cheap. Your words are not. This is why some people label you as intimidating or distant. What they really mean is that they cannot read you easily. And when people cannot read you, they project. They assume. They imagine intentions that were never there. Fear grows in the absence of understanding. But hear me clearly. You are not obligated to make yourself readable to everyone. Jesus himself was often silent before accusation. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strength under control. God knows when to speak through you, and he also knows when silence will speak louder than any argument ever could. Your silence invites reflection, and reflection is uncomfortable for people who live on autopilot. Chosen one, there is another layer to this. Your silence also signals self-sufficiency in God. You are not constantly seeking validation. You are not performing spirituality. You are not explaining your faith to be accepted. That independence from external approval shakes people who rely on constant affirmation to feel worthy. They don't know how to relate to someone who is internally anchored, so they fear you. Let me soothe your heart here. You don't need to become louder to be understood. You don't need to overshare to be accepted. You don't need to explain your depth to those who swim on the surface. The ones meant to understand you will recognize you without excessive words. Your silence is not isolation. It is discernment in action. God trained you to listen because listening reveals patterns. And once you see patterns, you cannot unsee them. That awareness naturally slows your speech. You speak when it matters, and that makes your presence feel serious to people who avoid responsibility. Chosen one, do not mistake pressure to speak as a calling to explain. Sometimes the pressure comes from people who are unsettled by your peace. They want you to react so they can feel normal again. But your calm disrupts their chaos, and that disruption is divine. Rest in this truth. You are not quiet because you lack confidence. You are quiet because you are secure, and security intimidates insecurity every time. In the next part, I will show you something even deeper. Why your very existence mirrors what others try to hide, and why that mirroring triggers fear without you ever trying to confront anyone. Stay with me. This understanding will lift a weight you've carried for far too long. Chosen one, let me slow this down and add something your spirit needs to hear clearly. Your silence is also an act of trust. You trust God to defend you, to reveal truth, and to handle what you do not need to control. Most people speak because they are afraid of being misunderstood. You stay quiet because you are no longer afraid of that. and that freedom unsettles those who are still trapped in the need to be seen and affirmed. Your silence tells the spiritual realm that you are not ruled by impulse. It tells God that you are teachable, and it tells others that you cannot be easily provoked. That kind of emotional discipline is rare, and rare things always attract attention, even unwanted attention. There is also something else at work here. Your silence forces others to project their own thoughts onto you. They fill the gaps with their own fears, assumptions, and insecurities. That is why people often think you are judging them when you are simply observing. They accuse you of being distant when you are being discerning. They label you as cold when you are actually protecting your peace. But listen carefully. You are not responsible for managing other people's projections. What they imagine about you says more about their inner state than your intentions. Your job is not to correct every misunderstanding. Your job is to remain aligned. God did not design you to blend in with noise. He designed you to carry clarity, and clarity often arrives quietly. So when you feel pressure to speak just to ease someone else's discomfort, pause. Ask yourself whether that voice is coming from God or from someone else's insecurity. Chosen one, your silence is sacred ground. Guard it. Honor it. Let it continue to speak for you because it already is. You mirror what others try to hide. Chosen one, this is where many misunderstandings about you are born, and I want to bring peace to your heart as we walk through this slowly. You are not feared because you confront people. You are feared because you reflect them, and reflection is far more uncomfortable than confrontation. You don't point fingers. You don't accuse. You don't expose secrets. Yet somehow, when people are around you, their masks feel heavier. Their excuses feel thinner. Their inner conflicts rise to the surface, and they do not know why. That is the power of a mirror. God placed a reflective quality in you, not to shame others, but to awaken truth. When you live authentically, when your words match your actions, when your faith is quiet but consistent, it highlights the gap in others who are performing instead of living. And instead of closing that gap, many choose to resent the reflection. Chosen one, people often fear you because you remind them of who they could be but are afraid to become. Your discipline reminds them of their avoidance. Your integrity reminds them of their compromises. Your peace reminds them of the chaos they refuse to heal. And here is the key. You are not doing anything to cause this. Your existence alone creates contrast. Most people are comfortable in environments where everyone agrees to ignore the truth. But when you enter the room, something in their spirit recognizes authenticity, and authenticity demands alignment. If alignment is too painful, fear takes its place. This is why some people distance themselves from you without explanation. They don't hate you. They hate the discomfort of self-awareness. You become a reminder of promises they made to themselves and never kept. You stir convictions they tried to silence. And instead of dealing with that internal tension, they label you as intimidating, judgmental, or difficult. Chosen one, release the burden of that label. You are not responsible for other people's healing. God never asked you to carry that weight. Your role is not to fix what others refuse to face. Your role is to remain truthful. Let me speak to something deep here. Many of you have tried to soften yourselves to make others comfortable. You laughed when you wanted to stay quiet. You agreed when your spirit felt uneasy. You explained yourself when silence would have preserved your peace. And still, some people feared you. That alone should tell you something. Fear rooted in self-exposure cannot be healed by self-sacrifice. No amount of shrinking will make a person comfortable with truth if they are committed to avoidance. Chosen one, your mirror is not harsh. It is honest. It reflects without distortion. And honesty feels threatening to people who have built their identity on illusion. When you walk with God, you naturally become a reference point, not because you claim to be better, but because you chose growth over comfort. That choice separated you long before you realized it. This is why people may accuse you of thinking you are superior when you are simply consistent. Consistency exposes inconsistency, and inconsistency breeds insecurity. Insecure people fear mirrors because mirrors do not lie. You see, confrontation gives people something external to fight. Reflection gives them nowhere to hide. Chosen one, your presence quietly asks a question without words. Are you living in truth? And not everyone is ready to answer that. So they pull away. They criticize. They create distance. And sometimes they try to provoke you, hoping you will break character so they can feel justified. But God taught you restraint for a reason. Your calm under pressure frustrates those who rely on chaos to distract themselves. Your emotional regulation reveals emotional immaturity, and your spiritual grounding makes superficial connections feel empty. This is not your fault. It is the cost of walking authentically in a world that rewards pretending. Let me reassure you here, you are not alone in this pattern. Throughout Scripture, those who walked closely with God were often misunderstood, rejected, or feared before they were ever honored. Light always reveals what darkness tries to conceal. Chosen one, you are not here to dim that light. You are here to reflect truth with grace, and grace does not mean making people comfortable at the expense of your calling. It means staying aligned even when misunderstood. If someone feels exposed by your presence, that is an invitation for growth, not a condemnation. What they do with that invitation is their choice, not your burden. Let your heart rest in this truth. You are not causing fear, you are revealing reality. And reality always unsettles those who have lived in denial. In the next part, I will speak about something many chosen ones struggle to accept. The authority you carry without asking for it, and why that authority alone makes some people afraid. Stay with me. This is where self-doubt begins to fall away. Chosen one, let me add one more layer that will bring understanding instead of confusion. When you mirror others, you are also activating their conscience, not in a condemning way, but in a clarifying one. Your life, your choices, your boundaries quietly remind them of the voice they've been ignoring inside themselves. And when that inner voice gets louder, discomfort follows. This is why some people become defensive around you even when you have shown them nothing but kindness. Kindness paired with clarity is powerful. It leaves no excuse to hide behind victimhood or blame. Your compassion removes their alibi, and for someone not ready to take responsibility, that feels dangerous. But hear this carefully. You are not meant to apologize for being a mirror. God placed that function in you intentionally. Mirrors do not attack. They simply reflect, and reflection is only painful when someone refuses to adjust. So if others pull away, misunderstand, or fear you, do not chase them. Let them go with peace. Your assignment is not to convince anyone of your purity. Your assignment is to remain pure. Stay anchored. Stay honest. Stay aligned. The right people will not fear your reflection. They will recognize themselves in it and feel safe. The authority you did not ask for. Chosen one, this is where many of you feel conflicted inside because you never wanted power, control, or influence. You never asked to be seen as someone with authority. In fact, many of you tried to avoid it. You stayed humble. You stayed quiet. You stayed focused on your walk with God. And yet, people still respond to you as if you hold something they do not. That is because you do. Authority does not always come with a title. Real authority does not announce itself. It settles. It grounds. It stabilizes. And when someone carries that kind of authority without trying to dominate, it unsettles those who rely on force, manipulation, or performance to feel important. Chosen one, the authority you carry was formed in private. It was shaped in moments when no one applauded you, when obedience cost you comfort, when choosing God meant choosing isolation, when you could have compromised, but you didn't. That kind of authority cannot be taught. It can only be forged. People sense that. They feel it when you speak calmly in situations where others panic. They feel it when you don't chase validation. They feel it when you set boundaries without anger or explanation. That composure sends a message to insecure minds. This person cannot be controlled. And lack of control feels like danger to those who survive on dominance. Chosen one, understand this clearly. Authority rooted in God does not need permission from people. It does not seek approval. It does not argue to prove itself. It simply exists. And when it exists in someone who remains humble, it creates tension in environments built on hierarchy, competition, and ego. That is why some people challenge you without cause. They test you. They subtly try to undermine you. They make passive comments. They look for cracks. Not because you offended them, but because your presence reminds them of a leadership they do not possess. You see, people who carry false authority need others to submit to feel powerful. People who carry divine authority do not require submission at all. And that difference is deeply unsettling. Chosen one, let me say something that may bring relief. You are not intimidating because you are harsh. You are intimidating because you are centered. You don't fluctuate based on opinions. You don't perform righteousness. You don't adjust your values to fit into rooms. That steadiness exposes instability in others, and instability fears stability. Your authority also comes from discernment. You see patterns quickly. You sense motives early. You recognize truth without needing excessive evidence. That ability alone can make people uneasy, especially those who depend on confusion to maintain influence. They realize you cannot be easily misled. So instead of respecting you, they resist you. This is not new. Throughout Scripture, those who walked in quiet authority were often misunderstood long before they were acknowledged. Joseph did not ask to lead. Moses resisted leadership. David was overlooked. Jesus himself did not demand authority, yet even his silence carried power. Chosen one, if you feel discomfort around stepping into who you are, know this. Authority does not mean dominance. It means responsibility. And God entrusted you with it because He knows your heart. That is why you question yourself instead of exploiting others. That is why you reflect instead of react. That is why you seek alignment instead of applause. People who fear you often confuse humility with weakness. And when they realize you are both humble and unshakable, it destabilizes their assumptions. They expect submission. They find steadiness. They expect reaction. They encounter restraint. And restraint is powerful. Chosen one, your authority is also moral. You have an internal compass that does not bend easily. You feel discomfort when things are out of alignment. You cannot pretend for long. You cannot compromise without consequence to your peace. That moral clarity becomes a silent standard in any environment you enter, and standards intimidate those who prefer ambiguity. You don't have to call anyone out. Your consistency already does that. Let me soothe something in you here. You are not wrong for feeling burdened by this authority at times. Responsibility can feel heavy, especially when you never sought it. But God does not place weight without also providing strength. You were not given authority to control others. You were given authority to govern yourself. And when someone governs themselves well, others take notice. Some feel inspired, others feel threatened. That reaction tells you everything you need to know. Chosen one, you will notice this pattern. People who are secure in their identity respect your authority without fear. They feel safe around you. They do not compete. They do not test. They collaborate. But those who are insecure feel the need to challenge, diminish, or avoid you. That is discernment in action. Do not lower your standards to ease someone else's discomfort. Do not soften your convictions to be accepted. Authority loses nothing by being gentle, but it loses everything by being diluted. God trusted you with this presence because He knew you would not abuse it. So stop questioning why people react to you the way they do. Start understanding what it reveals about their inner state. You do not need to assert yourself. You already stand. You do not need to prove your worth. It is evident. You do not need to compete. You are called to lead differently. Chosen one, the authority you carry is not meant to isolate you forever. It is meant to prepare you. There will come a time when the same people who feared you will seek your counsel, when your steadiness will become refuge instead of threat. Until then, remain grounded, remain humble, remain aligned. In the next part, I will explain why isolation often follows authority and why the enemy uses confusion and separation as tools against those God has marked. Stay with me. This understanding will bring peace to seasons that once felt unbearable. Why the enemy uses confusion and isolation. Chosen one, this part may touch wounds you rarely speak about, so I want you to breathe and stay present with me. Many of you have asked God in silence why your path feels lonely, why misunderstanding follows you, and why connections that begin with promise often end in distance. You questioned yourself. You wondered if you were too different, too intense, or too much. Let me bring clarity to what has felt confusing for far too long. Isolation is not always rejection. Often, it is protection. When God places something valuable inside a person, the enemy does not attack it directly at first. He attacks clarity. He attacks perception. He attacks connection. Confusion is the enemy's favorite tool because a confused mind is easier to influence than a grounded one. And isolation is how confusion is sustained. Chosen one, the enemy knows something about you that you sometimes forget. You are dangerous when you are aligned. You are powerful when you are supported by truth. You are effective when your discernment is sharp and your spirit is rested. So instead of trying to destroy you, the enemy tries to disorient you. He wants you to question your worth. He wants you to doubt your calling. He wants you to believe that the distance you experience is proof that something is wrong with you. But hear me clearly. The enemy only isolates what he cannot corrupt. You have noticed this pattern. When you were growing the most, friendships faded. When your faith deepened, familiar spaces felt uncomfortable. When your boundaries strengthened, access to you became limited. That was not accidental. That was separation for refinement. Isolation creates silence, and silence reveals truth. The enemy hates silence because silence brings clarity. In quiet seasons, God speaks more clearly. In stillness, your discernment sharpens. Away from noise, you begin to see patterns, motives, and cycles that once confused you. That awareness threatens deception. So the enemy tries to reframe isolation as abandonment. But it is not abandonment. It is alignment. Chosen one, many of you were removed from certain environments because you would have outgrown them anyway. God knew that remaining would have required compromise. So he allowed distance, he allowed misunderstanding, he allowed separation, not to punish you, but to preserve you. You were never meant to carry everyone with you. Some people were assignments for a season, not companions for the journey. Isolation also exposes dependency. It reveals where your identity was tied to approval instead of obedience. When familiar voices fade, you are forced to listen to God more closely. And that intimacy strengthens your authority. The enemy fears that intimacy. That is why confusion often creeps in during isolation. Thoughts like, maybe I am wrong. Maybe I should go back. Maybe I should explain myself. Maybe I should lower my standards. Those thoughts are not coming from God. God brings clarity, not chaos. Chosen one, let me say this slowly so it settles. If isolation was meant to destroy you, it would have already worked. The fact that you are still standing, still believing, still seeking truth tells you everything you need to know. Isolation refined you. It did not reduce you. In isolation, you learned self-governance. You learned how to sit with discomfort without escaping into distractions. You learned how to pray without an audience. You learned how to hear God without confirmation from people. That training prepared you for responsibility. The enemy isolates to weaken. God isolates to strengthen. And the difference lies in the outcome. If isolation was from the enemy, it would leave you bitter, resentful, and hopeless. But if it was from God, even though it hurt, it produced clarity, depth, and discernment. Look at yourself now. You see more clearly. You tolerate less manipulation. You feel discomfort sooner when something is off. That is growth. Confusion tries to convince you that loneliness means failure. But many of God's greatest servants were shaped in solitude before they were ever seen. Not because they were unworthy of connection, but because they needed depth before influence. Chosen one, the enemy also isolates you from people who would distract you from your assignment. Not everyone who wants access to you deserves it. Some would drain your energy. Some would dull your discernment. Some would normalize compromise. Isolation limits access until discernment matures. That is why not everyone gets close to you easily. That is why trust does not come quickly. That is why your circle stays small. This is not dysfunction. This is wisdom forming. Let me address another pain. Many of you feel misunderstood during isolation. People assume things about you because they no longer have access. They create narratives because they do not have answers. That hurts. And God sees that hurt. But understand this. Explanation does not heal misunderstanding rooted in insecurity. Some people do not want clarity. They want control, and isolation removes that control. Chosen one, your job is not to chase understanding. Your job is to remain aligned. Those who are meant to walk with you will understand without excessive explanation. Those who fear you will misinterpret you no matter what you say. So rest. Rest from trying to be accessible to everyone. Rest from trying to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding. Rest from carrying relationships God already released. Isolation is not your permanent state. It is a preparation phase. There will come a time when God introduces you to people who do not fear your depth, who do not compete with your authority, who do not resent your boundaries. But until then, solitude builds stability. The enemy wants you to rush out of isolation prematurely. God wants you to mature within it fully. Do not confuse quiet seasons with stagnant ones. You are growing roots, and roots grow in darkness before they ever reach the surface. Chosen one, you are not forgotten. You are being fortified. In the next part, I will speak directly to something you have been tempted to do many times. Apologize for your light. Shrink your presence. Dim your truth to keep others comfortable. Stay with me because this is where freedom becomes confidence. Chosen one, let me add this gently, because it matters for your healing. Isolation also teaches you emotional independence. It breaks the habit of leaning on people to validate what God has already confirmed. During these quiet seasons, you learned how to stand without applause, how to keep going without reassurance, and how to trust God even when no one else understood what He was doing in your life. That kind of independence is threatening to the enemy. When you no longer need constant affirmation, manipulation loses its power. When you stop chasing connection at the cost of your peace, distraction no longer works. Isolation stripped you of unhealthy attachments and revealed where your strength truly comes from. And once that happens, you cannot be controlled the same way again. This is why the enemy tries to convince you that isolation means you are unlovable or forgotten. But look closely. Even in solitude, you were sustained. Even in silence, you were guided. Even in separation, you were protected. Isolation did not empty you. It clarified you. So when loneliness tries to speak louder than truth, remember this. God sometimes steps between you and others, not to take something away, but to give you yourself back. Whole, grounded, and unshaken. Stop apologizing for your light. Chosen one, this is where many of you have been quietly wounding yourselves without realizing it. You learned over time to apologize for who you are. Not always with words, but with actions. You softened your truth. You dimmed your joy. You held back your insight. You lowered your standards. All because you noticed that your light made others uncomfortable. Let me speak to you plainly now. You were never meant to shrink to make others feel safe. Light does not ask darkness for permission to shine. It simply shines. You did not become who you are overnight. Your light was forged through pain, discipline, obedience, and surrender. Every layer of wisdom you carry was earned. Every ounce of discernment came from lessons that cost you something. And yet, instead of honoring that growth, you sometimes minimize it to avoid standing out. That ends here. Chosen one, apologizing for your light does not make you humble. It makes you misaligned. Humility is knowing who God made you to be and refusing to misuse it, not pretending it isn't there. God did not refine you just so you could hide the very thing He developed. You are not responsible for how others respond to your wholeness. Many people feel exposed when they encounter someone who is self-aware, emotionally regulated, and spiritually grounded. And instead of rising to that level, they expect you to lower yourself. They want you to speak less truth, show less confidence, carry less conviction. Not because you are wrong, but because your clarity highlights their confusion. Do not confuse their discomfort with your wrongdoing. Chosen one, every time you apologize for your light, you teach people that your presence is negotiable. You signal that your boundaries can be crossed, that your values can be bent, that your calling can be adjusted. And that is not what God designed you for. You were not chosen to blend in. You were chosen to stand firm. Let me say something that may challenge you, but it will free you. Some people only felt comfortable around you when you were wounded, when you doubted yourself, when you needed them, when you were still searching for clarity. But once you healed, once you became whole, once you stopped seeking approval, they felt displaced. That does not mean you changed for the worse. It means you grew. And growth always disrupts unhealthy dynamics. Chosen one, your light exposes patterns. It brings awareness. It invites responsibility, and responsibility feels heavy to those who prefer excuses. So they may try to guilt you. They may say you've changed. They may say you're distant. They may say you think you're better than them. But hear this clearly. Growth will always look like arrogance to those committed to stagnation. Stop explaining your evolution to people who benefited from your brokenness. Your light is not loud. It is steady. It does not seek attention. It seeks alignment. And alignment is intimidating to people who survive by adapting their identity to fit the room. You don't do that anymore. You learned who you are. You learned what you tolerate. You learned what costs you peace. And that self-knowledge is sacred. Chosen one, apologizing for your light also dims your joy. It makes you second-guess moments of peace. It makes you question confidence. It makes you suppress gratitude, as if happiness itself needs justification. It does not. Joy is not arrogance. Confidence is not pride. Boundaries are not rejection. They are evidence of healing. God did not bring you this far just so you could carry guilt for being well. Let me slow this down so it settles deeply. You are allowed to be strong and gentle. You are allowed to be confident and humble. You are allowed to be wise without being harsh. You are allowed to know who you are without proving it to anyone. Your light does not need approval to exist. Chosen one, when you stop apologizing for your light, something shifts. The wrong people fall away faster. The right people feel safer. You stop attracting those who want to use you, drain you, or compete with you, and you begin to attract those who respect you, learn from you, and walk beside you. That clarity is not accidental. It is protection. Some of you fear that if you stop shrinking, you will be alone, but look honestly at your past. Shrinking did not save your relationships. It only delayed the inevitable. People who require you to be less will never be able to walk with you when you are whole. And that is not loss. That is alignment. Chosen one, your light does not destroy. It reveals. And those who are meant to grow will thank you for it, even if silently. Those who are not will resist it. But resistance is not your problem to solve. You were never assigned to convince people of your worth. You were assigned to live in truth. Stop apologizing for your peace. Stop apologizing for your boundaries. Stop apologizing for your depth. Stop apologizing for your faith. God placed that light in you because this world needs it. Not everyone will celebrate it. Not everyone will understand it. But the ones who do will recognize it instantly. And one last thing, chosen one. When you stop apologizing for your light, you give others permission to stop dimming theirs. You become a living invitation to wholeness, and that is powerful beyond words. In the final part, I will bring everything together. I will help you release fear completely and walk forward with calm confidence, knowing that people's reactions no longer define you. Stay with me. This is where peace settles in for good. Conclusion. Walk forward without fear. Chosen one, take a deep breath with me right now. Let everything you've heard settle into your spirit. You were never imagined. You were never mistaken, and you were never too much. The fear you have seen in others was never proof that something was wrong with you. It was confirmation that something powerful lives within you. People are afraid of what they cannot control, what they cannot manipulate, and what they cannot understand. And you, chosen one, represent truth, stability, and spiritual alignment in a world built on confusion and compromise. That alone explains everything you have experienced. You are not here to be liked by everyone.